Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here. Before we dive in, I'd love for today's conversation to be as interactive as possible. So as you can see, we have enabled the chat, but sometimes when it gets noisy in there, questions do get lost, and I'm going to be monitoring the Q&A. So if you're not familiar with Zoom, you can see at the bottom of your screen the little Q&A. So feel free to drop questions in there. We will definitely make sure to leave time at the end of Anna's presentation. But as well, if there's opportunities to work those into the conversation, we'll definitely do that. For those I haven't met, I'm Danielle Patterson, Executive Director at ISS Market Intelligence and the founder of Family Office Access. And it is always such a privilege to host these workshops, and I am especially grateful to have both of our members and a broader group of guests today joining us live. It's so fun to make these interactive, so thank you for being here. And today's workshop is very special to me. We are joined by someone's work who I've admired for quite some time, Anna Robinson, the Chief Marketing Officer at Havener Capital Partners. Havener is an agency that helps investment boutiques grow through coaching, trainings, workshops, practical resources, so much more. And they are led by Stacy Havener, who we actually had the opportunity to interview about 2 years ago in one of our masterclass series. And I think Madison in the audience from our team is going to share the URL. It's still one of my favorite presentations to date. It was all around how story can be your slingshot, how boutique managers can actually outperform larger firms by connecting with investors on a more human level in a differentiated way. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to watch that as well. But I personally put Stacy's teachings and the broader Havener philosophy into practice, and it's completely changed the way I show up on LinkedIn. It's helped me grow, just this incredible network, which in the family office industry is everything. It's really unlocked opportunities for me to make introductions for people. And I have to say, it's so fun. I walk into family office conferences and people now feel like they know me from my content. So it's been really fun to put into practice the things that you're going to learn today. And it's going to be amazing. I really don't want to take up any more time, so I would love to turn things over to Anna. Anna, thank you so much for being here. I know you have a packed day. It's early for you out in California. And again, everyone, just feel free to continue networking in the chat, but drop those Q&A and we'll make sure to have time for that one at the end.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Today, I'm bringing you the LinkedIn Playbook for capital raisers. We use this playbook in-house to help our clients who are asset managers and who, like you, are targeting early adopters like family offices. So like Danielle said, I'm Anna Robinson. I'm the CMO and head of delivery at Havener. And so one of the things that we do in our delivery of services is help fund managers and founders in the asset management and wealth management space grow their businesses, do their marketing. And one of those things that we do in our marketing strategy is grow their LinkedIn brand. So one of the hats I wear is to really keep up with the LinkedIn algorithm, keep up with the trends, all of the things. We beta test our ideas on Stacy, our founder, on her LinkedIn, and things that work, we roll out to our clients. And then it's just an ongoing keeping up and changing the strategy because LinkedIn is always changing. So today, what I want to really walk you through, my goals are, I want to inspire you to grab the mic, as we say, and own your story. I want to give you the confidence and tools to take action right away. And then to provide a safe space to ask questions today. I'm sure we have people that are beginners and people that, are much further along in the process. And I'm pretty sure that I can help you with all of your questions today. So feel free to ask them as we go through, or we'll definitely save time at the end. So what we're going to walk through today is why LinkedIn. Why do we even recommend LinkedIn in the first place? And then we're going to go over the key parts of your profile that I want you to optimize. And then we're going to go through what we call the 3 C's: connecting, commenting, and creating. And then, of course, like I mentioned, we'll save time for questions. So, why do we even recommend LinkedIn as a place to network and share content in the first place? Well, there are over 1 billion members on LinkedIn for starters. 65 million of those are decision makers. So, you have this huge network at your disposal. One of the other things is that LinkedIn is specifically for thought leadership and building relationships as opposed to some of the other social media platforms. And the biggest one is that LinkedIn is the number one Google result typically returned when you Google somebody's name. So you can try it on yourself, Google yourself, see if your LinkedIn is near the top. And then when you think of that, put it yourself in the prospect's shoes. Say they're Googling you, doing some due diligence. LinkedIn is one of those top links. They click on that link. How are you representing yourself there? Are you putting your best foot forward? Are you putting your thought leadership there? Are you telling them why you as the guide even matter to them? So that's really why we use LinkedIn as a big part of our strategy. And then just a little proof, we've seen it work. The majority of our clients at Havener came from Stacy's LinkedIn. We do some attribution stuff and we find out that just a huge percentage, the first place they found us was Stacy's LinkedIn. And then we've also had our clients make connections as we're building their LinkedIns that have turned into capital by using LinkedIn as a part of their strategy. So one of the questions we get asked a lot is, we have a company page. Like, why do I need a personal page too? Can't the company just represent us on LinkedIn? The biggest answer is that LinkedIn doesn't push company posts into feeds algorithmically the same way that it does personal posts. The other is people don't interact with company posts the same. It's a logo, not a face. People aren't kind of sure who's behind that logo. They're less likely to like and comment. And when you don't get as much of that, you don't get as much reach. So a few stats here, leads generated through employee advocacy are 7 times more likely to convert. 90% of B2B buyers are more likely to engage with people who they see as industry thought leaders. And employee posts receive 8 times more engagement than company posts. So that's why we really want to encourage you to own your personal page on LinkedIn. So let's dive into the key parts of your profile that are really important to optimize. We'll start at the top of your profile and kind of work your way down. So I'm going to start with your banner here. So the banner is the graphic that you can upload that sits right behind your profile picture. So your banner should have in it how you help your niche audience. And then you can also have a call to action. This will not be a clickable link, but as long as you have a fairly easy link in there, people can go type that into a browser at least. So you'll notice the information we're suggesting that goes in it is all right aligned. So why is that? That's because your profile picture sits on top of the left-hand side. And when you move over to mobile, if you check it on mobile, the banner gets squeezed in much more than it does on desktop. And I think it's over 60% of people are now scrolling LinkedIn on mobile. So you really want to optimize for people that are seeing your banner on mobile too. Check it there, make sure your text is big enough, and make sure your profile picture isn't overlapping it. I have a QR code right here in the corner of this. This is a link to we call it our Scroll Stopper LinkedIn kit, and we sell it on the Havener shop. It has a ton of templates in it. And there are several banners you can choose from. This is one of the banners, and they're all in Canva. So you can just pop it in, go and type in your text, export it, and you've got your banner good to go. So I'll share that a few times throughout the presentation, this QR code, in case you want to check that out. Basically a shortcut to getting your profile all optimized. Profile photo is the next thing that you'll want to make sure is totally up to date and actually looks like you. So you want to make sure you have a clear, high quality photo, that you look approachable in that photo. You want to be looking at the camera, And they say to smile, they say that showing teeth makes you more likable. So here are two of our partners at Havener, Stacy Havener, our founder, and Eric Godum, one of the partners at Havener. And so these are great profile pictures. Kind of you have shoulders, head, not a whole lot else, looking at the camera, smiling. Some don'ts, I would say, are zooming out too much so that your face you can't really see. Because think of when you're posting or commenting, it's just a tiny little circle. So if you're not somewhat zoomed into your face, people really can't see it. And then you don't want, kind of the body language of not being approachable. Here's this, artistic profile photo over here, but people can't really connect with that if they can't see a face. So stay away from things like this. These are great examples. Okay, so your headline. Your headline is what goes right here under your name. It's where traditionally everybody just put their title, right? So your about section and your headline are now what LinkedIn refers to as context tags in the algorithm. If what you post doesn't match your stated expertise in your headline and your about section, they actually limit the reach of your post. So the algorithm isn't just evaluating a post now on its own, it's evaluating you. So that makes these sections super important to give relevance to. So note that your headline also follows you around LinkedIn. So what I mean by that is yes, it's on your profile page, but it is also anywhere under your name so if you post, it says your name and your headline and then your post. If you comment, your name, your headline, your comment. So it really is a chance to get that headline in front of other people. So do you want it to be your title? How much does that matter to your prospects? I want you to think about that. There are times that it might make sense to do a title. I use my title because it's attached to Havener and I'm attached to Stacy Havener, which is the most useful thing that our prospects are coming for. So there are exceptions to the rule. But if your firm name maybe isn't as known yet, then you might want to use this Mad Lib instead. So solving this problem for this target market. And then you can put in like a pipe or some sort of divider, emoji, whatever you want. And then maybe have your title at your firm so people can still see that. So the reason it's important to do the solving this problem first is it's what matters to your prospects. And this gets truncated. So on your profile page, it'll show the whole thing. But when you go to use it or when it shows up under your name in posts and comments, you can see Stacy's right here. It gets truncated at where it starts with authenticity. So only that first part is getting seen all around LinkedIn. So prioritize what you put there.
This is so helpful, Anna. Before we go on, this is kind of a step back, but Willard asks for men in their headshot, should they be formal? Should they wear a coat and a tie? What are your thoughts?
I think that's an awesome question. I would suggest you wear what you wear when you meet with people in a professional setting. So if you are going to meetings with prospects, whatever you wear there is what I would wear. So for some people, that's super casual. Some people, it's a button down. Some people, it's a full suit. So you want to just be like really authentic as far as like this is how you're going to see me show up. And so I think that's the best case for most everybody to use that as a rule
Amazing.
of thumb.
And David asks, can he change the picture in the banners that Havener supplies?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So if you're used to Canva, you can just search for photos or you can upload photos. You literally like drag that into the space that it's at in the banner we supply. Everything's editable. Canva's awesome if you're not using it yet. So that text, you could type over your text, you could change it to your branded fonts. Everything is movable and editable. They come in like three different colors and three different layouts or something like that. So you have some starting places to choose from.
Amazing. All right, I'll let you get back.
Okay, good questions. Okay, so the about section. Remember that the about section I talked about on the last slide, it's one of those context tags that we talked about. So what is in your about section helps determine if what you're talking about in your posts is relevant and can affect the reach of your post. This is fairly new, basically, this context tags thing. I don't think I've ever shared this in a webinar before. So if you haven't heard it before, that's because LinkedIn changed their algorithm in February.
I might go
Um,
rewrite what I rewrote after the last webinar now after today's.
Yep. Um, so the goals of your about section are you want to let the reader know who you help and how. You want to give insight into why you personally are the right guide for them. You're going to add trust by being relatable and authentic. You can add a little personal touch, maybe what you like to do outside of work. Those sorts of things really are great icebreakers that build trust. Wait, there are points that people can talk to you about. Add credibility with social proof, right? You have proven that your product service works for your prospects. Um, and then you're going to give prospects a place to go next. Always suggest this in marketing is nobody should read something, get to the end, be like, I really want more information, and not have a place to go next. So the formula that we give to try to make it easy to accomplish all of these goals is what we see right here. So you're going to have a hook. This is who you help and how. So really important to make this matter to your prospects. Okay. This gets truncated. So if you see an example of an about section here, the first few lines show up and then you see this little see more that people can click on. So the about section doesn't load the full thing when somebody comes to your page. So you have to earn their interest. It has to matter to them, right? Make it about them, not about you. Okay, from there, you're going to transition into your backstory. This is going to tell them why. I'm sure you want to do this, you want to accomplish these goals. This is how we help, but why are you the right guide for them? Okay, so you're gonna have just, I mean, you don't want your whole backstory, right? But you're gonna give a concise version on why you're the right guide for them. Then you can move into ways that you have impacted clients. We usually do this as like a set of bullets, like some ways we help clients are, and then we give ways that, these asset managers have helped investors. And then you can conclude by coming full circle to the top. So like you've kind of gone through your story and you come back to that hook. You can also add a personal touch, when I'm not knee deep in Morningstar, I'm, riding bikes and doing whatever. Okay, so something like that. And then you want to have a call to action. Again, the about section, you can't have live links in it. So if you're going to have a URL there, keep it something people can easily retype. This could also be phone number. This could say DM me if you're interested in talking, but some sort of call to action.
Awesome.
Okay, next we're going to talk about the featured section. So this is a missed opportunity. A lot of people don't use their featured section, but it is like a billboard for your profile, and it is one of the only places you can put a clickable link. So you really want to take advantage of this section. You can consider promoting, like if you have a newsletter sign up, you can promote. That's what this client's featured section is right here. If you are running a certain campaign and you have a landing page for that campaign, you could promote however long your campaign is running for. You could update your featured section to match that. Anything you really want somebody to go do. So I recommend when you do this, like on the tactical end, you're gonna click add to my features section, and there's gonna be a bunch of options. Click the link option. You want to add a link. But
Mhm.
then you don't want what it formats, how it shows the link. You want to upload a graphic that really like makes this look like a billboard on your page. So Again, this is in our LinkedIn toolkit. We have templates for these featured section graphics that are sized correctly so that if you do either one featured image, one image in your featured section or two, they'll line up like really nicely. Um, and that's all I would recommend is really just having one or two in your featured section. I wouldn't put 10 calls to action they're scrolling through trying to figure out what you want them to do. Pick one or two things that you'd like them to do.
This is so good, Anna. I had no clue that you could like customize photos. Before you go on too much, and sorry to take you back, but Ross or
No.
Goodman had a great question about the about section. Is
Okay.
there any recommendation, suggestion on how many words that should be? Are we going for length? Are we trying to be concise, easy read?
Um, that's a good question. I actually haven't done a word count on it. I'm used to eyeballing it in
Yeah.
our talk when we
Yeah,
reach
just comes
our
naturally to
clients.
you.
So connect with me on LinkedIn if you ask
Amazing.
that question. I
Ross or
will run
Goodman.
a
She's
Word doc.
amazing. You'll love her. So, yeah.
Yeah, DM me and I'll run a word count on it and answer your question properly. Um, this is one of our clients. His name is Chat Grinders. If you want to look up that is a formula. The formula I just talked about, this is a
Yeah.
great, a great example of it. And you could also just go see about how long that is. We're looking for each of those sections to be one or two paragraphs. But when I say paragraphs, I'm talking about on digital medium. So a
Uh,
paragraph on a digital medium is two or three sentences. You want to have white space. People, when they read on a digital medium, it's like they're really like scanning, looking for how it matters to them. And then if it matters enough, they might actually read the whole thing. So you want to have enough in there that there's some meat, but not lengthy paragraphs.
okay. And a
Hopefully
few
that
people
helps.
have asked for the name of that client because they do now want to go check out the profile.
Yeah, let me here. I can type it in chat. And
Oh, thank you, Anna. And while you're typing, I'm going to make you multitask, type and listen at the same time. David Clark had a great question about the featured and would like to know if he can put PDFs, like white papers specifically in the featured section.
um so putting the actual PDF in there, you can. I believe that it allows you to upload a document. Um, I want to caution against it. PDFs are so huge in our industry, right? We've got like white papers and fact sheets and all of the things. Um, but so many people are scrolling on mobile, and most PDFs are not formatted if they're like more of a document. They're not typically formatted for mobile. So when people are opening PDFs from LinkedIn, they have to sort of zoom and then scroll. It's not like the best user experience. So I would maybe think about trying to think if it makes a difference if like you host it at a link that they go to, but if you're trying to solve the mobile experience, that doesn't really solve it either. So I'm going to talk about creating posts and how I would suggest creating posts like from your commentary instead of uploading a PDF in a few slides. And so
Brilliant.
let's maybe take that there because it might change your mind on what you would want to do with your featured section.
Love that.
Okay. Let's see. I'm like, what window am I clicked on?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you can also put a website in on your profile. So this is the one other place besides your featured section that you can put a link in. Um, LinkedIn keeps moving this around though. So if you have Premiere, it's in one place, and then
Oh,
depending on what version of the profile they've rolled out, it's in different places. So go in and edit your profile and just look for a place you can it'll either say add website or add custom button. And so you want something customizable like this that shows up that you can tell your audience where to go. But you may be able to do it as a link and you may be able to do it as a button. when it's a button, it often gets hidden next to like the connect and the follow, and you have to like click like to go a level deeper. So it isn't always that findable to your audience, which is why I like to double up with using the featured section as a link.
Brilliant. LinkedIn keeps us on its toes, doesn't it?
Right? Like, oh, your version's totally different than mine. Cool. Um, Okay, so that is everything for optimizing your profile. We're going to next move to the 3C framework. Again, that's connecting, commenting, and creating. So a lot of people think when, okay, we're going to talk about LinkedIn, we're going to talk about post creation, and that's definitely part of it, and we are going to talk about that. But it's you need to do the work to make sure you're also connected to people and kind of have this well-rounded strategy for how you're interacting on LinkedIn. So some very quick initial people to make sure you are connected with would be clients, old and new clients, colleagues, old and new colleagues, your prospects, and your partners. Okay, so that should be like your foundational list to make sure that you are connected with already. Then on an ongoing basis, you want to keep those connections going. So one of the biggest ones you can do is export leads from your CRM. So if you have a place where you're managing your contacts and managing your funnel, export that into a spreadsheet or whatever way is easiest for you to have a list of those people and regularly connect with all of those leads on LinkedIn. And then there's like meetups, like you go to a conference, you go to a networking event, something like that. Come back home, connect with all the people you met. And then there's centers of influence and thought leaders, like people in your space that you're inspired by. You don't want to spend 100% of your time just coming here to promote yourself. You want to also like be inspired and maybe think about some things that you could be doing and enjoy your time on LinkedIn. Okay, so
Maybe
then the
on that
sec,
before
yeah,
they're
go
both
ahead.
good, very applicable. Crystal asked, how do you regularly connect with your LinkedIn connections? And that may be in the future slide, so if best to wait.
As so as in like kind of how to form the habit, are we talking about, or as
Yeah,
in
Crystal, let
like
us know if it's
logistically how
like
to do it?
the connection message or yeah, what
Okay.
beyond? How do you regularly connect? Oh, staying in front of them, and I do know that that's coming.
Okay, so yeah, when you're connecting, I don't typically I don't typically send a message with it. However, I think like you have to use your best judgment when you're doing that. Will they recognize your name? In which case, I don't think you need to type a message. Let's say you met them once at a conference and you kind of want to remind them of that. That's like maybe a good time to use a message like, hey, great meeting you on Saturday. Let's stay connected. Want to keep it short. You want to make sure you're definitely never selling anybody in those connection messages. That's a good way to not get them not accepted. So I would say either keep it short or don't do it if it doesn't feel like it's needed.
That's awesome. Thank you. And Crystal does say she says I never accept a connection without a message, but she says laugh out loud. And then there was another audience question. It says, what does a strong first outreach message actually look like when you're connecting with a family office or allocator? So I love that you're like, don't make it transactional. Don't ask them, you know. So if you have anything to add on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole different framework. But I'll touch on it really quickly.
Yeah.
So we have a framework called Give, 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 Ask, and it comes from, a philosophy out there. Not like we fully made that up, but this is a framework that we teach our clients, which is you should be giving 3 times before you ever ask for things. And giving doesn't mean like, here's my fact sheet. It means
Yeah.
giving something of value to you. I'd like to introduce you to this person I think could be helpful to you. Um, I saw your post and I really liked it. And so, like, you're going to comment on their posts. We're going to talk about commenting here in a sec. And commenting is just such a valuable thing that you can do that could count as a give. You might reach out to them and give them something like that is not yours that you saw that you thought would be helpful to them. Saw this article, it's totally related to what you guys are doing, thought you might want to take a look. Okay, so we're going to do three gives, and then you can ask something small, such as like, I'm going to be in your area. Would you want to get together for coffee? Something like that. But you have given enough by that time that the ask should be a bit of a no-brainer. It shouldn't be like, hey, I'm reaching out and trying to sell to you. So your outreach, just make sure you're giving, giving, giving. Would
I
you add
love that.
anything to that,
And
Danielle? Because I know you know that framework.
yeah, I mean, I love that framework. Like years ago, Ron recommended the Go Giver, and he always says, like, first they want to know, can they trust you? And if you are approaching cold with transactional outreach, they're like, everyone bombards me with that every day. You've got to be thoughtful, and the easiest way to establish, that communication is through giving. And how can I help you? It's not just, you got to flip the playbook. Yeah, so no, I think that give ask is so important, especially in the family office industry. Willard, thank you for he dropped his question in both places and it's right on this topic, but he says, do you connect with those that have viewed you on LinkedIn? So, when you go and you can see who's viewed your profile.
Yes, that's like advanced. So, Willard, you're beyond. We've moved beyond this slide. Yes, you can absolutely. So some I would say that are in the advanced mode is who viewed your profile? Are any of them in your target market? Connect with them, right? They're already looking you up. So that's a great sign. Anybody that has commented on your posts or liked your posts, look them up. Are they in your target market? Connect with them. Somebody else shares something you're doing. So Danielle shares that I'm going to be on this webinar. I'm going to go look, see who liked and commented on that post. Are they somebody that I think would make sense? Like they're somebody I could help. Then I'm going
Yes.
to connect with them. So, yes, great idea, Willard.
Amazing. Well, I will stop with the questions. I will let you continue.
No, it's great. I love it. Otherwise, I'm just monologuing up here. Um, so commenting is another part of the LinkedIn strategy that's really important. So I like to think of LinkedIn as a physical space to sort of get this point across. So let's say you walked into a conference and you just said something and then you walked out the door. You wouldn't really form relationships that way. Same goes for LinkedIn. We call it posting and ghosting. If you post and ghost, you won't be treated the same as someone who engages and has conversations, not by the audience or by the algorithm.
Mm,
So to go through how some questions we normally get about commenting, who should I be commenting on? We divide it into upstream and downstream. So upstream would be like some thought leaders that are in your space. You can comment there, which gets you in front of a whole other following, right? So that's excellent visibility for you. And then downstream, these are your prospects, your leads, your clients, right? You want to keep building relationships and doing that give, give, give. So those are great things to just sort of keep in your circle of engaging on LinkedIn is those are people who the what is you want to add value, right? We don't need more posts on LinkedIn that say nice post, or I'm seeing so many AI ones. I think that are a part of these like social media scheduling apps. They're creating like commenting apps, and they'll give somebody like they'll just reiterate back to them what they said with nothing added. And so just seeing tons of those kinds of comments. So you have to stand out to make sure that you're not being viewed as that way. If you're actually gonna, you don't want to just go through the motions of commenting. You want to build relationships. So some ways you can add value is you can mirror back what they said, but add something to it. Why did that matter to you? Why was that important to you? Be a person when you do that. Um, you can add a different point of view, add something related, add whatever your point of view is, right? So you can ask a question. Maybe you didn't understand some part of it, or you want them to go a step further with it. Don't ask them to, write a whole essay on it. But
mhm.
if you ask a question and they answer it, that's more engagement, right? That's a good thing.
And I love Anna. Like one of my favorite things to do is like bring people together where you're like, oh, there'll be such obvious synergy. Like you need to see each
Yes.
other's work. And so you just tag that person and it's like a win-win for everyone. So yeah. Love
I
that.
love that, tagging other people into the conversation. Yes, that's a great strategy, Danielle. Um, So why are we commenting? Kind of touched on this, but reciprocity, right? When you give, you usually get back. That's how human nature works. Okay, so you want to be out there giving. And then also the algorithm. LinkedIn wants to see you participating on LinkedIn. And when you comment, you will find that your posts do better. So, how are we going to comment? This is, of course, the hard one. It's the actually doing the work. So, there's two ways I think are the easiest to sort of start forming the habit. One is to batch time on every day. So, you're going to go in, you're going to spend 10 minutes doing your comments, right? Another one is to do it every time you post. So, I would do 5 to 10 comments before you post something or do it daily.
Great habit.
Okay, now the meat, the creating of posts. So creating LinkedIn posts builds brand awareness and credibility at scale, right? There's those 65 million decision makers that are reachable on LinkedIn. So you might not have the marketing budget of some huge asset management firm, but this is a free place and it has a built-in audience where you can share your thought leadership and level the playing field, at least on one platform, right, with the bigs. So some general tips as you're creating posts are right for one person, your ideal prospect, okay? Picture them, that is who you're talking to. Rotate through topics that you want to be known for. Okay, one of the things we do with our clients is create signature pillars. These are the 5 topics you want to be known for. So that's a whole other webinar. But,
To be
but
continued,
think
version
about
two.
what you want to be known for, bullet a few things, and make sure you're rotating through those topics. That's the easy version. Um, you want to aim to educate, inspire, and entertain. Okay, and then be consistent. Nobody gets results overnight. A lot of times, LinkedIn, if you haven't posted in a while and you post something, LinkedIn will boost that post and you'll get a lot. And that's really exciting. And then you'll do your next 3 posts and they don't get the same, and it can be really discouraging. Stick with it. You need to be posting. You'll do best if you post at least 2 times a week. That's doable for some people, not doable for others. But if you really want the momentum, post twice a week or more to LinkedIn.
I was going to ask you the question, does it have to be daily? I mean, I see people who post multiple times a day, so I'm okay, I'm relieved, like two per week. That's doable. Okay. That was my question.
Yeah, and I'm terrible at this myself. I do once a week, and every once in a while, I work up to 2 and keep it up for a few months. So it's hard. I'm
But you
not
don't take
saying
a
that.
leave of absence. You
Yeah, but
don't.
we post twice a week for 20 clients.
There you go.
Um, yeah, but just really, even if it is once a week, I post every Tuesday. You can get used to that from me, and you'll see it consistently. So you want to train your audience on what they can expect from you, and you want to train the algorithm that you're showing up seriously with your thought leadership. So this what I like to call post anatomy. So on the left-hand side here, we have really the old way to create a LinkedIn post. So people would write a few sentences. Often those sentences started out as, "We're excited to announce," or "We're honored to have had this opportunity." There's nothing wrong with saying those things, but they have been so overused on LinkedIn that you're going to get people tuning you out if you start your posts with that. And then often there was a link added. So this is where I see people using their PDFs, uploading a document or adding a link like to their commentary. And it really is difficult if people are on mobile for that to be a good user experience. Also, if you post a link on your post, you will get docked 10% of your reach. So it's not an enormous amount. So if it makes sense to have a link, like let's say you have a webinar, um, and people can't do anything about that unless they register, it's probably worth taking that 10% hit to make the user experience friendly for your audience to just register. However, we're going to talk about if it's something like a link to a commentary or a link to some sort of article, what I want you to do instead. So we're going to try to reduce doing links on LinkedIn.
And is that, Anna, is that LinkedIn like trying to keep an active audience? They don't want you leaving, so they're kind of, yeah.
Exactly. Think about whether LinkedIn, yeah, do they want people to go off the platform? No, they want the value right there. And keeping people on the platform is going to be their goal. So you're going to, see a penalty if you're taking people off of it. So over here on the right is some of the things that we've been talking about, but you want to start your post with a hook. This is what matters to your audience, right? So tell them what's in it for them, or they tend to tune you out. Um, Note also posts are truncated, just like headlines and about sections. So only the first certain amount of characters, and I say certain amount because it depends on whether you're on desktop or mobile and how your sentence is formatted. It's not an exact amount of characters every time, but think of it as your first couple lines are going to show up and your media, and the rest, you got to, again, you got to earn their interest and get them to click see more. So your hook is a really important part of of your post. Then I like to say three valuable points. Doesn't have to be three exactly. Three is a good rule of thumb. People can remember things in threes, so there's a little science to it. But in general, you want to put valuable points in your LinkedIn post. You're going to use that technique I taught you about what a digital paragraph is, right? It's only a couple sentences at a time. We're not going to have lengthy paragraphs. We're going to have lots of white space. You can break things up with emojis. I wouldn't overuse the emojis. Don't use the AI known emojis either. So don't use the rocket ship or the light bulb or the blue diamond. Those are some default ones that ChatGPT went crazy on, and now anybody uses those, and everybody's going to be like, "It's a post." So those are some ones I would avoid. You can also use Unicode arrows, which are little like arrow symbols, since you can't bullet text on a LinkedIn post. So those are some great little tricks to get that space in. And then, of course, like anything, you want to conclude, you want to make the rest of the post make sense. I would suggest adding media in most cases. Media increases your reach typically on a post by 4 times. So these could be carousels, which are documents that you scroll through, but documents formatted for LinkedIn. Or they could be photos, people out doing their things like at conferences and stuff like that. People photos tend to work really well. Or they could be videos. If you follow our founder, Stacy, she does beach walk and talks, and those get a lot of engagement. Danielle, you do walk and talks too.
Love being outdoors. I'm like, oh, I'm justifying going outside right now.
I love it. How do the videos work for you? Do they perform better for you?
Absolutely. It's so interesting. I've done some that really like this image is great, but it's always the videos. They do so much better. I think people want to connect with the human and not
Yeah.
everyone wants to put themselves out there. I was amazed to learn that Stacy's introverted. People always are like, no, you're not an introvert. I'm like, you know what? I kind of am, but it's been amazing. Like again, people get to know you, and if you can help them through, the topic you're talking about, even better.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Such a great way to be on video. It's like an opportunity to speak to people, but on such a scale and in the comfort of their own phone.
Yes.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about, right? That's a big one. So some just quick post prompts I can give you for ideas are, did you read something inspiring? Did you see a chart that made you think? Did you listen to a podcast? One of my favorites is, has a client asked you a thoughtful question? So They Ask You Answer is a great book if you haven't read it. This is really the methodology of, if one client has that question, you can trust that other clients have that question. And so if you can get in front of it by creating content that answers the question before they even have to ask for it, you're seen as a credible thought leader in the space.
Love that.
Or did you attend an industry event? Did you meet a friend from LinkedIn? People like to see these connections happening. And then also don't be afraid to also talk about things you do outside of work. I usually use the 20-80% or the 80-20 rule, which, 80% of your content, you probably want to keep it on professional and the main things you want to be known for, but you also want to let people in a little bit and get an idea of who you are. So, think of one of every five posts maybe touches on something a bit more personal.
Anna, so before we go on, there
Yeah.
are other questions, but when they're really relevant to what we're talking about, Nigel wants to know, are links to blogs on our website not allowed? And I would say that probably follows the pulling away, but I'll let you elaborate.
Yeah, I think same thing as I mentioned, like a link to a commentary. I would not put links to content. So what you want to do is repurpose the content
Mm,
that is on the page. So oh yeah, and I meant to talk about that on the posting page because it's same thing as the commentary. Instead of giving them a link to go read the whole thing, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the value right to them. So you should be able to create a minimum of three posts from every blog you do, a minimum of three posts from every commentary you do. You could probably easily create 10, right? And then you could spread them out over time. I wouldn't do 10 posts in a row about the same topic. But that's how you can create a lot of your content. So think if your blog has intro, three main
mhm.
points, and a conclusion, right? Each of those three main points, make one LinkedIn post out of each of those. So we're going to bring that content right to people in the LinkedIn platform rather than asking them to go somewhere else.
I love that. And then if you captivate them and they go to your profile page, you can have your visit my website button.
Exactly. And if you're really helping people on the LinkedIn platform, you don't have to give them a link every time. They're looking you up, they're looking for more information from you, they're going to be doing their due diligence, right? So it's kind of the like idea of give, 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 ask too. Your posts are going to give and give and give before you ask. You want to bring that value to them instead of asking, instead of obviously just trying to drive traffic all the time.
Amazing. And one last, there's some chat about being able to make bold and like different font cases and how LinkedIn doesn't allow that. But I've seen there's some like apps you can download, but you can only do it from cell phone, I believe. Does anyone know the name of those, or do you recommend it, Anna? Does it make any difference?
You can. I can't remember the app that you can bold text on, so maybe somebody will
I know that's what I asked if
maybe
anyone knows
somebody
it.
will
I
know
had
it.
it at one point, but
I advise against it because what those apps do is behind the scenes, they're basically turning that text into symbols.
mm,
And so it shows up as text to the user, but that might not actually be searchable content.
hmm, yeah.
So while the people you're getting your posts in front of can see that, fine. If you're trying to get discoverable by your content, you're sabotaging yourself there. So I try to use like caps not as a paragraph, but like if it's a word like a why or a how,
Hmm.
that I'm gonna then talk about, I would maybe put why or how in caps. You can use like dotted lines and dashed lines. You can use those
Yeah.
Unicode arrows. So I would try to like format it just with the native text,
Nice.
and ditch those apps.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I
I would
always
say
get
put our
worried
logos
about some of
out.
those third-party apps, like, and if LinkedIn's not doing it, maybe it's for a reason. But yeah, great
Right,
advice.
right. Oh, whoops, I think I missed one. Okay, so some other inspiration for your posts. Get in the habit of doing reflections and takeaways. So every time you leave an event, it could be every time you leave a webinar, jot down your three takeaways and then turn that into content later. What did you learn? Share that with people. Keyword research. So you can use search bars. Obviously, like Google is a search bar you could use, but LinkedIn also has a search bar. So you type in a topic related to your industry and then you see what the autocomplete suggests. In Google, there'll be autocomplete suggestions plus a section that says related searches. So you can see kind of in your asset class or in some specific topic what other people are asking, and that might inspire you to do some good content.
So
Industry news aggregators. I think everybody in this industry subscribes to a lot of newsletters and follows blogs and things like that. Use those for inspiration. Social listening, this is big in marketing, but you might not have heard of the term. This is paying attention to the questions people are asking. So on LinkedIn, if you're doing comments and you see people like asking different questions or topics they're discussing, problems they're facing, use those to inspire. You can be the person that goes and answers those questions. And then, of course, with the rise of AI, there are tons of prompt tools. ChatGPT and Claude are great for saying, give me 5, 10, 50 prompts for LinkedIn posts on, and then give it your asset class or your content pillar or whatever. And it will inspire you to write about an unlimited amount of topics if you want. Okay, so I will recap here and then I'll take this down. And I think we have a little bit of time for more questions. So to recap, I want you to optimize your profile with all the things that we talked about. I want you to connect with all that initial list and then make a plan for how you're going to connect on an ongoing basis. Maybe there's one day a week that you do all your connections. You're going to make a plan for how you're going to comment, whether that's before your posts or on a daily basis. And then you're going to work on all the tips we talked about for creating your posts. This here is a QR code to my LinkedIn, or I think Madison might put that in the chat at some point. Please feel free to connect with me, DM me any questions you have after this call that you didn't get to ask, anything like that. And then this is the QR code I gave you on a couple of the other slides. That's that scroll stopper LinkedIn kit that has all of the templates that can help you shortcut your way to optimizing your profile. There are also not just profile templates, but also like graphic templates, like doing like a quote graphic. There's carousel examples in there, things like that. So things that will help you with your post graphics as well.
I'm excited to check that out. This has just been so amazing. And I mean, I still have a whole page of sheets and ideas of things to do. It's like it's so much value, and there's a lot of comments in here, a lot of gratitude, but there's also a lot of questions. So if
Okay.
you haven't dropped your questions, there's three in the Q&A, but there's one I'll get to here. Luca asks, and I am curious, what's your take on the comment X to get my guide trend? Does the algorithm reward this enough to outweigh the risk of losing engagement quality?
No, I'm pretty sure that I read that LinkedIn was going to start penalizing for doing that tactic, so I would not pick that up now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I see a lot of that. Get your free family office list if you comment X. I'm like, oh no, you don't want that list.
Yeah, and it just feels so salesy. Like, I'm not sure it builds like real relationships doing that. I focus not on the quantity and instead on the quality. We have a very niche industry, right? This, like, you're not, selling a product that's gonna go viral with every person in your country,
Right,
right? Like,
right.
you need a very specific type of audience, and you want to focus on finding that, not on viral engagement.
Such good advice. All right, much earlier, one of the first questions we received is how long does it realistically take for a consistent LinkedIn presence to translate into meaningful investor conversations?
Um, I don't know that they're like if I have an average or an exact question, but I would say that it's in phases. So I would say in the first few months, I think you should start hearing from people like, oh, I saw your LinkedIn post. Like we have our clients go to conferences and they start getting that like pretty early on, like just starting to see visibility. I think where it goes from there also depends on like how much you have a well-rounded strategy that knows how to nurture those
Mhm.
people. So if LinkedIn is your only place, then you probably want to ramp up how often you're posting if you're really counting on that, and you want to have a DM strategy and that sort of thing to really build it. But if you're also building content and going to conferences, maybe you're getting visibility on podcasts, like all these things really work together.
Mhm.
Um, one of the other hard things to quantify about about the LinkedIn strategy is that LinkedIn is a lot for visibility, and people then internalize it, and then they go Google you. Now the attribution shows up as organic search. That's how they came to you, from organic search. But guess how they found about you in the first place? LinkedIn. So sometimes it's hard to track how all of that attribution is coming through. So I would say you should be hearing some things. You should be getting some visibility and starting to have conversations. 3 months in, 6 months in, it should pick up. By 12 months, I think you should regularly be hearing from people, and you should be able to, if you track your Google Analytics, what you can see is like your numbers tick up that are coming from organic social. If your main driver is LinkedIn on social, then you can attribute all of those numbers to LinkedIn. So there are ways to measure, but you also just sort of have to pay attention to the big picture. Is the whole marketing strategy starting to drive conversations with your audience?
Wow, such a good answer. I often wonder, well, we analyze the data, and over the past couple years, what's been really interesting is now family offices, seemingly so secretive, are building brands, and they're showing up, their companies on LinkedIn. So when we talk about give, give, ask, where I go, follow, support, engage, it's the greatest way to first and foremost research is their true alignment. What are they posting about? What signals are they hiring? But an interesting trend I've noticed, there's more and more presence on X, which I personally haven't really dipped into. Does Havener beyond LinkedIn? We know you guys are like the LinkedIn champions, but are there other platforms in terms of raising capital that you all recommend or use, or is kind of LinkedIn the sweet spot, you think?
LinkedIn's our jam,
Yeah,
for the reasons that I stated in the beginning. When people Google your name,
yeah.
typically X is not coming up, Facebook isn't coming up, and Instagram's very photo based. TikTok might not have your audience depending, but
Right.
it's going there, right? But LinkedIn is so focused on professional conversations that that's why we stick with that. Now, I would say if you already have a big X following, take
Mhm.
advantage of that. But if you're going to focus on building something and you don't have much of a following anywhere yet, I'd put your eggs in the LinkedIn basket.
It's great advice. All right, Emil asked this earlier in the presentation as well. For asset managers, what are some guidelines to be compliant with the SEC general solicitation requirements when filling out LinkedIn profile? What's allowed, what's not allowed?
Yeah, great question. And all of our clients have compliance, so pretty used to this. Everybody seems to be a little bit different with their rules, but the main thing most people want to stay away from for compliance is mentioning fund specifics. So if they
Mhm.
don't mention the fund name, you can't obviously do anything promissory. But most of the things you're going to want to be talking about on LinkedIn is like your stories, like your backstory, your what we call an edge story, which are your differentiators. These are going to talk about like your process, your strategy, your philosophy. Why are you different than the fund
Mhm.
manager down the street? So those aren't typically things compliance really has any issue with. So talk to your compliance instead of saying what can't I say, which is usually what they tend to drive the conversation with. Ask what can I say, or run some ideas by them, and then you can usually come up with a workflow so that like maybe not every post has to be run by them.
It's such good advice. And Madison, if you wouldn't mind, drop again is the story is your slingshot, Stacy's framework around, yeah, just using that backstory and your differentiators as your strength is like it was such a great masterclass. All right, Jonah asks, oh no, I'm sorry. No, no, no. Jonah asks, how can we differentiate sending a DM to simply connect and network, especially with LinkedIn has lots of bots and AI related tone now and folks just trying to pitch or sell, even though I know that's what I'm doing. But Jonah actually reads the DMs I receive, and I'd like to send out invitations with messages sincerely, but I'm not sure if it's judged or considered a spam bot, maybe too assertive. What can we do to help this?
I would suggest focusing on the give and keeping it really short. When I get paragraphs in DMs, I'm usually seeing like it usually is people that are like, and I do this and I offer this. And, maybe they're not as aggressive. They're like, think of me sometime if you need this, but it's like, you're selling to me. So I think it's very different than saying, hey, saw your post about this, thought you might be interested in X or whatever, just very concise little things that you can say in passing. What you're trying to do is really establish trust, not use the DM to get their business.
And I know Stacy's a huge fan as well, but Sam McKenna, she has the Show Me, You Know Me.
Yes,
That's like, it's not about you, make it about them. Like,
right.
cut through the noise by hyper personalization. I think if someone feels like you're just copy pasting, spamming, it's like, great, you know? So just being really thoughtful and making it more about them and maybe how you can then add value in that give, ask framework.
I love that. Yeah, the personalization is key. Make it look not copy pastable. If they know what you said to them couldn't have been said to the next person, that's going to be received differently.
Amazing. And I know we're at top of the hour. Evelyn asks, and if you've got to go right now, Anna, we can have Evelyn can LinkedIn message, but she asked, what about LinkedIn for philanthropic fundraising?
What about LinkedIn for Phil? So I think this strategy can be used really for any industry. We work with our niche and there are little nuances, but the strategy really makes sense for everybody. So I think it'd be totally applicable there.
Yeah, I think if not more so, because you're talking about mission, and at least in the world of family offices, you want to capture their heart, the values that they care about. So really speak to how you're making differences, how that, philanthropy is being put into action, and I think it becomes magnetic.
Yeah.
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 Well, this has been amazing. I know a lot of people asked, will there be a recording? Yes, I know, because I could just rewatch and continue to take notes. So yeah, tomorrow we will send out a recording. We will also include, some of the links that were brought up to get that amazing kind of LinkedIn kit with the graphics. If we think of anything else, we'll include that. But I can't thank everyone enough. It's been so fun. I love all the questions, the interaction, and Anna. You are just amazing. This was a wealth of information. So thank you for giving us your time. I know you have a big day ahead, so good luck with all the calls and catch everyone on the next one.
Thanks for having me. And thank you, everybody, for bringing questions. They were such good questions today. It was really fun to talk to you all.
Amazing. Until next time, everyone, have a great rest of your day.